Welcome to the first real episode of Cunning Cocktails. I'm currently in Canada, and therefore I decided to bring my buddy and local expert Craig on board, who's going to take us through some local delicacies.
Good to be here, Arnaud.
Thanks for coming.
Today we're going to be making the fabulous and majestic Canadian Caesar of the classic variety. Let's get into it.
That's what's coming up. Let's go.
Now here you go.
All right, so the classic Canadian Caesar.
Let's do it.
All right, the first thing that we're going to need to incorporate is rimming the glass. We're going to be using a Canadian Caesar rimmer. But if at home you don't have a Canadian Caesar rimmer, you can easily just use a combination of celery salt mixed with other spicy salts, and you're going to get the same effect.
Amazing.
So in order to do that, first we're going to cut off a wedge of lime, and we're going to use that lime as the adhesive for the rimmer. Just rim that nice and easily. Don't throw this out because you're going to need it for the final step, so we're just going to set that aside. We want to rim the glass, some nice even turns in the celery salt, knock it off, and that's going to provide a wonderful crunch and spice every time we take a sip out of our Caesar.
That looks like a really great rim job, Craig.
Thanks, man. I take pride in that.
Yeah.
So after that, we're going to add some ice. No one wants a cold Caesar, and any size ice will do. We're just going to be using some from my freezer. Maybe 4 or 5 cubes because we are using a about 70 centiliter glass. So this is a large Caesar. We're going to need quite a bit of ice. So I'm going to throw in 6 cubes. After you've got this prepared, you're going to need to start adding the liquor. And for the liquor today, we're going to be using vodka, which is the classic Caesar. But you can use gin as well, which here in Canada we call the Gazer.
The Gazer.
So if at home you want to spice it up with some gin, absolutely, tastes amazing. We're going to be using vodka. And since we are using a 70 centiliter jar, I'm going to pour about 3 ounces in. So that should give you a ratio at home to try and balance the liquor to weight ratio. So we're just going to plop that in. And now that we've got the liquor, the fun starts.
This fun.
The exciting thing about the Caesar for me is that you can add different levels of spice to it if you want. So one of the ingredients we're going to be using today is classic Tabasco. I'm going to make a spicy Caesar, so we're going to be adding probably 4 or 5 dashes of Tabasco.
Great.
Obviously, to your preference, however you want to spice it. Then we're going to be using some Worcestershire sauce here with Lee Perrins. Any Worcestershire sauce will do, of course. Again, just 4 or 5 drops of that. After you've got that muddled in, you want to give it a nice little shake, make sure all the ingredients are set properly, and now it's time to add the Clamato. So basically, we're going to be using Mott's Clamato, which is native to Canada. Have you heard of Clamato before?
No, this is unknown in Europe.
So Clamato juice is a combination of tomato juice and clam juice. So at home, if you can't find Clamato, you could easily use an artisan tomato-based juice and add the clam juice yourself.
Yeah.
You can get clam juice at your local market or grocery store.
Right.
In Canada, we prefer to use the Mott's Clamato because it's an all-in-one package.
Yeah.
So we're going to fill up the glass to about a little more than 3/4 because we're going to need to leave some room for the garnishes, which is the final step that we are now in. The garnishes are very interesting because you can garnish however you want, but I feel that a lot of people in Canada enjoy the pickle-based flavors and the nodes that complement the clam juice inside the Clamato. So we're going to be using some baby dills that are dipped in a garlic. We're going to be using some beans. We've got some pepperoncinis, and of course the classic olive. In Canada, I've also seen Caesars that incorporate lobster tails, shrimp skewers, any of those seafood flavors that can be incorporated with the clam juice bode very well for the flavor.
That matches very well.
So basically, all of these different ingredients, we're going to put them on a skewer, and that's going to be set right on top of the Caesar. Now we're almost finished here. The last thing we need is to add some health to it, because the Caesar traditionally is a drink that Canadians would have after a long night of drinking and in the morning. So we want to add some therapeutic properties to this drink. And basically that's going to come in the form of our celery stalk. Nice and fresh. We're going to plop that in, and notice how we left a bit of volume in order to incorporate the celery stalk. It's going to look perfect. Now, the last step, Arnaud, what is it? Of course, it's the lime. We need to add the lime back. Some people like to add a little bit of lime in their drink as well, which can easily be done. You're just going to garnish with lime. And now an advanced maneuver for some of you at home who are looking to extend your Caesar capabilities farther than the average Joe, add a little pickle juice. That's going to add a little acidity that's going to complement the Caesar very well. Just a little splash.
Wow.
Give that a nice stir with your celery stalk. And boom, there you have it. A classic Canadian Caesar that hopefully will rid all of yesterday's problems.
Wow. This looks amazing, Craig. But I want to hear more about the therapeutic properties you mentioned earlier.
Well, for Canadians, I think the therapeutic properties boil down to having more courage in the morning, as well as making sure that you're surrounded by like-minded Caesar drinkers.
Yeah.
That brings out a certain communal therapeutic property.
I see.
I think that everyone in Canada has come to love.
Okay. Even myself, as a tourist.
Amazing.
This was Cunning Cocktails, all the way from Canada. Try a Caesar on your next Sunday morning as a hangover remedy. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
Cheers.